All right, folks, welcome back to another episode of the Tapinfootball podcast. Bloody hell. But yeah, welcome to another live stream. As you can hear it in my voice, man, you know this football podcast. Bloody hell. What's going on? Yeah, welcome to another live stream. What's going on?
I don't know.
Sorry, no, it's because I had the YouTube open. Sorry. Yeah, so as you can tell from my voice, it's been a long, draining day, and it's been a long and exhausting week. And it's been a long and exhausting restart that I just want to end, to be honest.
It's been a long...
What's going on?
No. Go.
Yeah, sorry. So yeah, you know what? Let me not talk about Spurs first. Let's actually focus on the matches for the people who are actually on the stream. So Simon, Adrian, thanks for coming on. Thanks for coming on, lads.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having me, bro.
Yeah, so you know what? Let's start with you first, Adrian, because I think yours is going to be sort of short and snappy. So Liverpool now, you lot are on 92 points. You're on 92 points. I saw some stat that you've now gained more points than Man United have ever had in a season or something like that. Rare tear. But I wanted to ask, who cares about all that stuff? Who actually cares? What we want to know now is, can you go ahead and break Man City's record? Because we were having this discussion today. Can Liverpool be considered in the top 5 greatest ever Premier League sides? And we all agreed. We said, yo, they got to break this record, because if they don't break this record, it's going to be very difficult to talk them higher than the Man United treble winning side, the Centurions, Jose Mourinho's dominant Chelsea side. So what's your thoughts on that?
I think with us, it's been a case of we've had different aims, different goals, and we're falling short of the mark. So back in November, it was, can we go for the quadruple? Then back in March, it became, can we go for the treble? Then it became, can we do the double? Then it became, can we go unbeaten? And now, literally, our last sort of semblance of success, really and truly, will be to go above and beyond the smash City's 100 points tally. I think ultimately, because we've been hit with the stick of Corona balls, ultimately to solidify this amazing team's place in history, we're gonna have to break that record by hook or by crook. Like even getting level possibly won't be enough because of the asterisks of something like the coronavirus.
Yeah. It's an interesting one as well. Me personally, do you know what? I'll move on to Dan Sham. Like, I personally was impressed with how Brighton played yesterday, and I saw some stat that like only Man City have been able to create more chances against Liverpool than Brighton did yesterday. I felt like they did more than enough to come out of there without taking 3 goals and an L. But that's life. That's Liverpool this season. What do you lot make of Graham Potter's Brighton, and what should be a realistic objective for them next season, now that they've added the likes of Lamptey in January, now that it looks like they're going to stay up and possibly look to add to their team in the summer? What's a realistic goal for them next season?
I still think probably mid-table, right? They've got to be looking, first things first, 40 points, get safety, I think, again. It's key but they play really good football, and especially under Potter, some seriously good football. And with, as you said, Lamptey now in there. Still think they lack goals. Let's see more play next year. There's potential. Every time I watch him play like Russ, he's going to go on a run now, and then he draws another dud.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh, here we go again. And then he scores, and it gives you some hope. And like, do I bring him into our fantasy team? And it's like, nah, it doesn't do it, right? But there's potential there. But they miss someone who, the Glenn Murrays of the world, who you can guarantee will bag you 10, 15 goals. He's sitting on the bench. Do you know what I mean? They need another Glenn Murray, effectively. Someone who just does his job, simple, 10, 15 goals in the year. But Trossard is a quality player. I don't know what you guys think of Trossard. I'm a big fan. If they can keep hold of players like him, they do well. Aaron Moy as well.
Yeah, I think you make a really good point there, because it's like, imagine if Brighton had someone, like Danny Ings playing up front for them this season, who has been able to find the net quite regularly. And if I was Brighton, I would look at some of the relegated sides that might be going down. So you look at your likes of Callum Wilson, who's likely probably going to go down with Bournemouth, or even Timu Pukki at Norwich. And if they can get someone like a striker like that does score your 10 to 15 goals, with the chances that they create, they can start looking up the table. But I really like Graham Potter. Ever since he wiped the floor with us with Ostersund a couple of seasons ago, and I just think they need to focus on conceding less goals as well next season, for sure, because their defence has really let them down this year, which was something that wasn't the case under the likes of Chris Hughton.
Yeah, I hear you, Dan. I hear you. You know what? I think that's that for us. But before I move on to the next subject, and before we say bye to Adrian, I just wanted to ask around the room question. So we saw Nico Williams play for Liverpool yesterday on the left-hand side. I know he's a right back. And we also saw Ben Lamptey, who played for Brighton. Eye test wise, where are we heading? Who do we? I know it's early. I know that it's a bit knee-jerk to ask this question, but if I had to ask you to commit to one of these two players now for your long-term right back, who are you choosing?
Cracking.
Round the table question, sorry.
Go on, Adrian.
I think it's a tough one because with Nico Williams, we've literally just seen drips and drabs. But from the drips and drabs that we have seen, I think he has shown himself to be quite a competent fullback. But there was a time where sort of Lamptey absolutely ruined him, literally sent him back to Melwood, if you like. But then in the same breath, there was a time wherein I think it's Ronaldo was quite lax in the blocks. But then Nico Williams is there to sort of make a fantastic tackle. But more on Lamptey, I'm actually quite impressed because I feel like he took the bold step to say that, you know what, where Lampard is going at the moment, potentially, if he's played all of these youngsters now, I'm not necessarily getting a look in. He looked to himself and he said, well, where can I play games? And he's gone to Brighton, a place where he can play games. And Lamptey's looked very, very good. He's looked solid, relatively solid defensively, but then he's a real force going the other way as well. And then he played an absolute peach of a ball for finished quite emphatically. At the moment, if you were sort of have to go for one, at this moment in time, it would be Tariq Lamptey, purely because his body of work is a lot more. And from what I've seen of him, he's definitely one for the future.
Yeah, I think Adrian, you sort of nailed the point there around just he's right in the head in terms of the decision that he made showed how mature he is, right? He could have stayed at Chelsea. It's quite easy. Professional contract at Chelsea, big club, you think, right. Most people take that, snap your hand off. He's decided to no, I'm stepping away, go to Brighton, get first team football. I think is it Montoya who went back, right? And he's almost taken that spot now. He's played 4 or 5 games, looks good, sharp going forward. As you said, fizzing that absolute peach of a ball yesterday. And yeah, if I had to pick today, just again, you've seen him have a run of 4 or 5 games now. And he's not just he's produced for 15 minutes or 30 minutes here. He's done it in the Premier League against good sides 4 or 5 times. You'd have to back him on that basis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dan, I was going to ask you, but to be honest, I really want to move on from this. But
yeah, I was gonna say Lamptey anyways, and I think this comment basically summed it up. Like from that little cameo against us when he came on, and he basically just tore us a new one in about 20 minutes. On the pitch with his pace, I just think he's a massive weapon for Brighton to have, and I think he's got a big future.
Yeah, I was gonna actually say I'm sitting on the fence. I can't call it. I just want to do that because I like Nico Williams technically, but Lamptey's physical qualities are just a joke. But Adrian, thanks for coming on, man. I know obviously you've got a show right now.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about that before you go.
So obviously big up for having me on your platform. So what we do is called Top 4 Podcast, and literally we just dissect the biggest talking points of the week, of the football season really, and just a round table of us. We just like to have a bit of banter, have a bit of fun, and so it's very, very similar to your platform.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. If you lot are watching and you need something else to watch after, check it out.
Also, just a point to make. Where do you guys sort of see Naby Keita's progression, and do you feel like he can be the Is he the real McCoy? Do you feel like he can take Liverpool to that next level that he was sort of brought in to be?
I think he can. I think when you looked at the qualities that he showed in his Leipzig days, everyone was unanimously jealous that Liverpool were able to get that signing. And for whatever reason, whether it's been injury or whether it's just been him just not going for the jugular when he plays, he's just been too passive. He's needed to improve, and I think that performance against Brighton, that was actually that was a good performance, because Liverpool fans, they tend to overgas anything that he does. Like, he could have a 4 out of 10 game and they'll try and make it sound like a 7 out of 10 game. But against Brighton, he was actually pretty good in terms of his passing, in terms of his pressing as well. So I think he could definitely thrive in a Jurgen Klopp system. So yeah, I think right now though, he's still got a lot to do. Like, he has to prove himself, not just to Liverpool fans, but to the rest of the Premier League, that he's as good as what they thought when they paid that 60-odd million for him.
He just needs to stay fit as well, I think, is the most important thing, because I was even surprised today. I saw the stats that he's actually played like 1,000 more minutes than Oxlade-Chamberlain has for Liverpool over the past 2 seasons, which was very surprising to me, considering how often he's on the injury bench. But I just think fitness is part of the reason why he's not been able to find his form, because when you saw him for Leipzig, was it in Germany, and he looked like he was a centre mid that was ready made for the Premier League. And I still think that he's got the ability to do well at Liverpool, but we just need to see him play week in, week out.
I feel like you boys have hit the nail on the head. Like, my perception of him, ultimately, what I thought we were getting was a fine performing N'Golo Kante. I literally thought, he'll get, all the interceptions, all the ball winning, the sort of grit in midfield, and he had the flair going the other way. But I feel like, as you guys have rightly said, with Naby Keita, it's been a case where he'll take 1 step forwards, he'll take 2 steps back. Like, I remember in December, he was absolutely amazing. It was like he was building a real relationship and telepathy with Mo Salah.
Yeah, I remember.
Fast forward a month, he's out injured for 3 weeks, struggles to find his form, then comes back in the game against Norwich. It was like he downed a bottle of Rays before kickoff. And that's not necessarily because he's a bad player. It's because he's not necessarily got that run of consistency. He's just on completely different wavelengths with his teammates and the way in which Jurgen Klopp has regimented the side. So yeah, I think you guys are spot on. He's a player that he needs. Just give me 10 games in a row and let's see what we can do with 10 games in a row.
Okay, well, Adrian, thanks for that, man. We're going to move on to Leicester now, then Chelsea, then of course Spurs. But thanks, man. We'll catch you another time, man.
In a bit, lads, man.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jack, thanks for coming on, man. This is my friend Jack. He's a Chelsea fan, so I thought it would be fitting to actually get him in this discussion now. So obviously, so Shyam, I believe this is the first time you lot have dropped to 4th in. It's got to be at least like 6-7 months, surely.
It's a while. It's been a tough 2020. Put it that way. Right? It's been a very, very difficult 2020. I think. Well, started off with a win against Newcastle on January 1st, and then could not find a win after that. It's been difficult, but as I said, we're still there. It's still in our hands.
Yeah, you say that. But
it's been in your hands for a while, right? And your form is literally been diabolical.
You're about to bottle it, mate. You're about to bottle it. I sold myself the other day, and I guaranteed Jack that Chelsea were going to finish 5th. I was back on Chelsea finishing 5th.
That was outrageous. I couldn't. Leicester still got to play Man U as well. So
they got
what happened. Even though Chelsea have got to play Liverpool, kind of cancels that out.
Yeah,
because one of them is going to drop points. They're either both going to drop 2 or one of them's 3. So
and then Chelsea play Wolves as well on the last day of the season. That last day is just looking.
The Wolves might be out. It's possible the Wolves are going to be out of it by then anyway. You never know.
Well, they could be in a fight with Sheffield United for European football.
Yeah, I forgot they actually do care about Europa League.
Yeah, exactly. So, they need to play themselves into form, because then they've got Europa League, right? in August.
You've got a cheat though, Jack. They actually care about Europa League. Aren't you lot the Europa League kings?
Well, yeah, they're a win it. So yeah.
But you know what? Let's actually focus on the match itself then. So obviously Arsenal, and Dan, you can help us here as well. I actually watching that first half. I thought Arsenal were a bit unfortunate to be only 1-0 up. I felt like they should have put that game to bed. And I wasn't surprised by how rattled Leicester were, but I was surprised by how effective Arsenal were as a unit. Like, it literally felt, I think, apart from the first sort of 10 minutes, it was complete dominance from Arsenal. And it just felt like there was just wave after wave of pressure. And I felt like if there was an opportunity for them to win that game, they should have put it to bed in the first half. So, Dan, what were your thoughts on your performance?
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think you've seen it in the Wolves game and again the Leicester game. I think teams are actually starting to respect us again as an institution. Wolves and Leicester now have both changed their usual game plan when they've come up against Mikel Arteta's Arsenal, and where you weren't seeing that when Emery was in charge. Teams would just come up and expect to play us off the park, and they would play us off the park as a result. And I think, because of that respect that the clubs are showing us, it's allowing us to come into these games with a bit more confidence and dominate where we wouldn't normally. I thought we did play well. Shah might have a different opinion to me, but I think, if we had a different striker up top, it would have been 2-3-0 in the first half and the game would have been done before half time. But unfortunately, we've got the French baguette up top in Lacazette. He can't move. He can barely strike a ball these days. So, it's only 1-0 at half time. And we said it in the WhatsApp chat and stuff like that. That would never be enough when you've got Jamie Vardy up the other end, karate kicking people in the face and karate kicking the ball into the net, So,
yeah, VAR's had a bit of a mare this week. But to be honest, VAR's had a bit of a mare all season. Now, Shaim, I'm going to come to you before I go to Jack. When Jamie Vardy got that equaliser, it just felt as if you lot just sort of dropped off in terms of intensity. It was a weird one for me. I'm not sure if you felt it too, but I just wanted, for me, I found it quite disappointing that after you scored that goal, you couldn't go on and go for the jugular against, by all accounts, a fragile, even though they're improving, this is still a fragile Arsenal side.
It is. So let's take a step back, right? I honestly think until Aubameyang scored, I think we were fine in that game, right? We looked okay. There's always going to be this question because we'd changed into 3-5-2, 3-4-3, whatever you want to call it, right? But that's partly due to Ben Chilwell's injury. It gives us a bit more comfort on the left. I don't think we can play Fuchs there on his own against the pace of Arsenal. And we clearly struggled with that pace, right? The electric pace. Okay, then going back onto your point around when we score, we should, last 10 minutes should be hammer and tongue going out for that win. I feel this creativity has been lacking since Ricardo's injury. It's massive. Right? People talking about Maddison, when Maddison's not creative. I think a big missing piece of this puzzle is Ricardo on the right, because what it does, it opens so much space up for other players because defenses have to double up on him. He's that good. I honestly, apart from Trent, I can't name a better right back in Europe.
In Europe, that's a tough one.
It's because Joshua Kimmich is playing centre mid now, so
yeah, he's transition, but
Jack will probably say Reece James.
I'll probably have Hakimi over Pereira, but Pereira's much better defensively still.
Yeah.
Well, as for Liqueta, I'd have over.
Are you crazy?
You're drunk, man.
In what world?
That's your eighth Corona of the evening, yeah.
But so fair enough. And I think we've mentioned the that injury, how it's gonna be like literally crucial for your season because you lot I know James Justin, he's a decent prospect, but he just can't offer you what Pereira offers you.
It's unfair, right, to say that. I mean, we've bought him as sort of to still develop him. He's still young. We're bringing him through, and he's now being chucked in as like your week in, week out playing in that right back position. And we're still playing players like Mark or Brighton, right? I mean, he's no, can't say nothing wrong about this. He's done a job, but the pace isn't there. Creativity is not the same. Yuri Tillemans, he's looked half a second too slow in 2020. I just feel he's just not where he was last season and at the start of the season, but still fantastic player. Harvey Barnes, I think Dan mentioned it on the WhatsApp group before the game. He was glad that Harvey Barnes wasn't starting, right? It's the formation that we played that doesn't allow Barnes. So in that, if we played the 4-4-2 or the 4-1-4-1 that we normally play, you play Barnes, right, as a part of a top three or on the left or right in a middle four. So I did think that with Arsenal sitting back in the last 10 minutes so deep, I think there was that on the players' minds of we can't afford to lose this game at the same time, right? That point could be massive. And given our record at the Emirates and Highbury, I'm sure you shouldn't look at it like that, but 47 years, it's a joke.
Yeah, you lot got your first point there. I think your first point against Arsenal.
First point in about, first point in 20 years.
Like that, yeah.
Yeah, so the thing is, I just feel like now, I don't want to talk more about the game. Obviously, we know the Nketiah red card. I don't think anyone on the panel here agrees that wasn't a red card. I think that was the right decision. But I wanted to bring up the Jamie Vardy issue as well, because I don't know about you, Jack. What's your thoughts on VAR? Because I think we've seen so many shambolic decisions over the past couple of days. We saw with Jamie Vardy, a lot of people are saying it will be hard to prove whether he did that with malice, but it happened. And then you see James Tarkowski yesterday on Jared Bowen's knee for something exactly the same as Nketiah, and you see no red card. So what's your thoughts on VAR?
I mean, so the Chelsea West Ham game the other day, when there was the disallowed goal from the corner, and then a lot of people saying it shouldn't have been disallowed, but obviously some Chelsea fans saying it should have been.
You were not some Chelsea fans. You were saying it shouldn't have been disallowed.
Well, ultimately, the person at VAR decided it was offside. So, what I think there should be is when the decision goes to VAR, there should be some kind of panel, like in a boxing match, and there's say 3 or 5 lights, and if 3 of the people watching it think that it's offside, it's 3 green lights or whatever, and then 2, and then it's kind of, because at the minute it's just like it just goes to VAR, and then that's the final say. But ultimately, it should have more than one pair of eyes on it, because all football decisions, well, not all of them, but so many are subjective that there is no definite right or wrong. So if you had some kind of panel, at least you go like, well, it's been reviewed by 5 professional referees, and 3 of them thought it was offside. At least there is some level of debate.
I think the problem with that is the panel is still full of incompetence. So I think that's the issue.
But at the minute, we're in a place where it goes to VAR, and then there's still debate. And that doesn't happen in other sports. Once it's gone to the TV replay or whatever, then you just accept that and move on. But we're still debating it when it's come back from that, and it shouldn't be like that.
See, I think they've got offsides. They've sorted it out now, right? I mean, there's always going to be this, his armpit's offside or his nose is offside, right? But it's black and white. He's either offside or not. According to the law.
That's the problem. So I was just saying the issue is that interfering with play is not a line in the sand, is it? That's an interpretation. See what I mean? That is
that's fair.
And because I think we saw the same thing, Everton versus United earlier in the season, when I think Sigurdsson was on the floor, and the goal got disallowed last minute, right? And it's like, is he interfering with play? And it's like, well, the goalkeeper can see the ball the whole time. He's able to dive, but it was still disallowed anyways, right? So
United, that's why.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's corruption in the FA. I'm convinced after the penalty that was given today. Yeah, like there's absolutely no way anyone can watch that with a panel or no panel and still give a penalty there unless they're corrupt. I'm convinced, because that's literally one of the worst decisions I've seen all season. That you can get your legs stamped on and your team also get a penalty given against you, man. Like it's ridiculous.
It's scary. It's absolutely scary. Like Bruno Fernandes actually went studs in on Konza's shin.
Yeah.
And he got a penalty for it.
It's good news today though, because apparently FIFA are taking over worldwide implementation of VAR. So I'm sure, hopefully, Arsene Wenger's had a word, saying that the FA is corrupt and whatnot. So he's got Kalina in to come and straighten everyone out.
So obviously this is for yourself, Jack, then, because obviously Man United won today, 3-0. I know even with or without that penalty, let's be real, they were always going to flatten Aston Villa today. Aston Villa are hopeless, and I think the sooner they go down, the better. But I wanted to talk about this intensifying sort of race for top four now, because obviously Leicester are fourth now. United are the informed team, like all their players are fit, and obviously yourselves, Chelsea, they're in third. So how do you see this playing out? Because obviously you still have, like you said, you still got Liverpool, they still got United, etc., etc. It seems like United have the clearest run of games.
Yeah, definitely. United have got the easiest running, but they do have to play Leicester. And the thing is, look at the Chelsea Palace game the other day. That's sort of typical of Chelsea's season. They're just constantly conceding goals. So we've got Sheffield United next, isn't it? It's so hard to predict. That's why it's been quite exciting for Chelsea fans, because we just don't know what's going to come next.
Exciting? Really?
Well, look, from at the start of the season, everyone let Lampard off the hook. It's sort of like, he's a club legend. We're just going to give him a chance. And if it goes shit, we're going to stick with him. But it didn't. It went well. And then it's been kind of up and down throughout the season. Going into these last 4 games, it wouldn't surprise me if we ended up coming 5th. But I've got to back. We've just beaten Man City. I've got to back them. I think we'll get enough points. Leicester, Man U, hopefully draw. We'll get enough points. That's my prediction. I can't believe that you're saying that you think Chelsea are going to come 5th.
I just hate you so much, to be honest. And I was just hoping that Leicester could not bottle it. Leicester could hold their arse.
5th will probably get you Champions League next year.
I don't know what's going on with that appeal with Man City. I'm not sure what the likely outcome.
Surely it can't get overturned completely, and you think they'll get a year.
I don't know much.
The thing is, though, because they are 100% guilty as well, right? Like, so I think they will need some sort of punishment. I think the 2 years is probably too harsh, but yeah, I think Sham's right. I'll agree with him. I think it'll probably go down to 1 year.
I was gonna ask as well. You lot have got this. It's like it's the elephant in the room for Chelsea, isn't it? And it's the £71 million elephant. And
I wish it was an elephant, because he probably stopped. Probably saved. He's fucking tiny. That's fuck.
I mean, like I saw a meme the other day where it was like a photo of the back of Zaha taking a shot, and it said "fuck it, Kepa's in goal anyway." I may as well go for it. And the one thing that struck out for me was, of course, this guy's shot stopping is pathetic. But second of all, where was your midfield? Because we were talking about this in our chat today. Billy Gilmore, who was meant to be playing the deepest role, wonder kid, the future Carrick, whatever you lot want to call him, he was nowhere to be seen. And then who else was playing the midfield for you? It just felt like Zaha had all the time in the world to take that shot. And I think going forward, that needs to be an issue that you lot need to address, because you've spoken to me about your defense, your left back, your centre back, but I think you need to get your balance right within the midfield. Like, I know you're trying to go out and sign Kai Havertz for whatever amount of pounds, but you lot need to sort out a way to protect that back four, because whether it's Jorginho playing there, whether it's Kante playing there, whether it's Gilmore playing there just seems to be open spaces in your midfield.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. But as you said it yourself, it was Gilmore was playing, and we don't know much about Billy Gilmore, but he seems to be a kind of deep-lying playmate. He's more like a kind of passer, isn't he? As someone that breaks up play. But obviously, Kante would be the first choice there. If it was going to be the Champions League semi-final, it would be Kante. So, in terms of who he's going to partner up with, I don't know. I mean, since Chelsea won the league with Kante and Matic, we've never had that, like, holding, or that solid midfield too. So Kovacic is probably the one that's coming through, and then you'd maybe play someone more attacking off those two. But I think it's too early to write off Gilmore at the minute. But I'm not
trying to write him off. I'm not trying to write him off. I'm just trying to say that, like, I think you lot shouldn't put too much pressure on him. And I think, and not beyond him, I think you lot have deep-rooted issues in terms of protecting your back four and
the goalkeeper. Look, I think most people would agree that Kepa hasn't been a great signing. I don't think many Chelsea fans are saying that he is. I think he was brought in as a kind of De Gea.
You said he was better than Lloris.
Everyone's better than Lloris, but that's
Are you hearing this? This guy isn't even better. He's not even better than Caballero, let alone Lloris.
I agree.
He's not better than Caballero.
I know, but I don't know what's going to happen next season because I think I said to you the other day, we've spent 71 million on him, so he's going to get back next season. He's going to play. Was not great place to be in for a Chelsea fan, but all I can hope improves.
Yeah, before we move on to the next game, then, Jack, hopefully you can stay on as well. Jorginho, what's going on with Lampard on Jorginho then? Because it seems as if he's the only one in that midfield who can control the game from a deeper position.
Yeah, well, you saw it against Palace, didn't you? I don't know if you watched the game, but when he came on Palace, he was just spreading it everywhere, which is what he does. I don't know. Maybe he's going back to Serie A next year, and like Lampard knows that, and he's not part of the next season's plans. It could be that. I don't know, but he's been completely out of favour, isn't he? You know, I don't rate him anyway that much, Toby, so I'm not that bothered about it. If he wants to go back to Serie A, then let him go.
Yeah, who would you bring in though? That's the thing.
We'll just stay with what we've got at the minute because there's still young players coming through. Give it.
What was the link today was a Ramsey Jorginho swap deal, is what I saw. Would you take that?
Well, I'd rather have Ramsey than Jorginho, to be honest. So yeah, I haven't seen that though.
Why don't you lot go for I'm not sure how Shine would feel about this, but why don't you lot go for Ndidi?
We've already nicked enough of their midfield, haven't we?
Why don't you take Drinkwater back?
Okay, lads. So enough of the top four talk. I just want to move sort of further down the table as well. So I just want to touch on the best of the rest. So the Europa League sides and the strugglers, and then the relegation sort of mid-table side. So, of course, again, I don't want to beat around the bush, but a certain North London club, for the second time this week, put in a 2 out of 10 performance.
I think two is
okay, yeah. 0 out of 10 performance. So Sham, I wanted to just quickly come to you first because I don't want to say it myself or harp on about it, but in your opinion, what do you think is the issue at our club?
Mourinho. Right, it's got to be. I mean, you can't just it's not like you have a bad side, right? It's clearly not that. Yes, I think I was saying to someone the other day, I think back end even of last year, I think the Champions League final sort of made your season look better than it actually was. Mm-hmm. I think the quality of football was sort of on the way down, creation of chances, etc. But getting to the Champions League final, I honestly think it was an overachievement and put paper over a lot of cracks. Poch then goes, Mourinho comes in. I mean, unfortunately, as my guy in our generation as well as being top manager, but he's just not there now, right? It's just not for the Premier League anymore. Mm-hmm. And I just don't think he's playing like Kane is playing as a defensive midfielder after the game. I mean, people are saying, yeah, he can play a Firmino role and sort of link people up. That's great, but not on the centre circle. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's spending more. You look at his heat maps; they're shocking. He's a CDM role at times, and you think, I just don't think, and I feel sorry for him because I think his injuries is one of those ones that is going to keep coming back, and I just don't see him scoring 25 goals a year for the next 3-4 years. I just think that injury is going to hurt him.
See, Jack, what? Because for me, I'm under no illusions that the guy has passed it and he's not the man to take us forward. But I've said all season, I said it on the Pochettino, that we can't just put the blame on the manager. We can't do that because there are so many faults with this team right now. There are players who have underperformed all season. There are players who aren't good enough anymore. There's a chairman at the board who will do something good for the club and then take 2 steps back each and every season. And then to top it all off, you've got an archaic manager who can't even coach a team to attack a side that's conceded 4 goals to Newcastle at home. So it's a weird one. Dan, before I get to you, Jack, when I was telling you about when I was discussing Mourinho to you, you were telling me that it was a really good appointment. Now, in your opinion, what needs to change at our club?
Well, I think like whenever Mourinho's gone into a club, well, especially in England, he's always had a lot. Like he's had financial backing. So obviously at Chelsea, he had a fucking shitload, and then at United, he could spend money. So presumably, when Levy was appointed Mourinho, he was thinking of the summer transfer window and investing in the squad. Because if he doesn't, then he's got the wrong manager in the role. Because he's not going to bring through young players. He never has done.
Well, he's trying to now at Spurs, and he's made a commit. He said that he's making a commitment to try and bring through some young players. But you know what? With him
who is that? Who are the young players that he's trying to bring through?
So Dennis Perkins.
Sessegnon can't make squads. You know, Oliver Skip. I don't remember the last time he played for you. Troy Parrott has not seen first team minutes this season. You know,
Tanganga.
So Tanganga has played. He's played a fair few minutes, and I think he probably would be playing more if he didn't get injured. But I don't think there's many for him to be bringing through, really.
And Harvey White as well. He said he'd bring him through as well. But it's a weird one. A viewer question: what areas do we need to improve to compete with the top 4 side? So Dan, obviously I have my thoughts, but outside looking in, what do you think?
Outside looking in, I think the defensive side of your game is where you're lacking the most. I think you need a DM, a left back, and another centre back. At least one more centre back, if not 2. To be honest, I still think Sanchez can be a top defender, and I think Tanganga looks as a solid prospect as well. I think Aurier needs replacing, but I don't think he's as bad as Ben Davies on the left side. So I think Aurier, you can maybe give him another year max as that. But right back would be a priority position if I was Spurs as well. But I'm just not sure you can bring in that many players in one window, especially with coronavirus. But I think I want to echo Sham's point as well, because obviously I've been, one of the biggest Mourinho apologists or whatever this season. I'm not ashamed to say that I've made a lot of excuses for the guy, but he's now wasted 180 minutes of my life this week in watching some of the most tepid football that I've ever seen. And for me, like, one thing that I do have to say, and you have to really stick it on him here, is that even though the players are underperforming, like you've seen it with Arteta at Arsenal. I'm not even trying to big up the job that Arteta has done, right? But if we've had this argument, right, and we've agreed now that David Luiz has probably been one of the worst performing centre-backs in the league this season. You can say the same for Mustafi as well. And yet we're managing to keep clean sheets. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've got absolutely no creativity in the centre and midfield, and we're managing to, put a team like Leicester under the cost. Do you know what I mean? And so if I'm thinking, if we had the players, so I think Spurs have got a much superior squad than we do at the moment, just like man for man. If we had the players like Ndombele, Lo Celso, Son, Bergwijn, Harry Kane up top, instead of Lacazette, Joe Willock coming on off the bench. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think, Arteta would be doing a lot better with those players than what Mourinho is, despite the underperforming players, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? So I do think he has to hold a lot more stick, despite your problems at the club. Yeah,
I echo all of you lot's thoughts perfectly. I think the chairman as well, he needs to put up or shut up and sell the club. I think he needs to either back this guy or sell the club and sell us to someone who will back us in the window financially. I think the manager, he needs to skate. He shouldn't have got the job in the first place. And I think the day I see the back of him at our club, the better, to be honest, because like you said, we've seen lesser managers do more with less. We've seen Ralph Hasenhuttl will take Southampton from a relegation candidate to a team that are they're probably 3-4 points behind us now. We've seen Carlo Ancelotti, he's come into Everton, and he's someone who I even said I don't think is going to work, but under him they're unbeaten at home. You've seen the likes of Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison. You've seen their productivity in front of goal increase. You've seen their defense improve. And a lot of people keep making excuses for this Mourinho guy to keep saying he has to play this way because he's trying to shore up the defense. But wait a minute, we're not even shored up defensively. Like, we're still there for the taking defensively. So all you're doing is you're not giving us that protection, and at the same time you're hampering our ability to attack sides. And it just doesn't make any sense to me. It's the most baffling thing ever. And from when you can't even get the best out of our best player, that's when you know whatever system you're doing is not working. If you can't get the best out of Harry Kane, bin it. Absolutely bin it. And it's just a weird one. And so many players need to go as well. You got Lamela. I don't even know how he survived 8 years at that club. He needs to go. Dan, you said it there. Ben Davies, he needs to go. Harry Winks, boy, I like him as a squad player, but I think Jack has said it to me a million times. He doesn't see what Harry Winks offers. Sissoko, again, I'd keep as a squad player, but you have players like Lucas Moura. If he's not going to score more than 5 goals in the season, what's he doing at our club? What's he doing there? It just doesn't make any sense to me. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. But
as a Spurs fan, what's the best thing that can happen this summer? Is that they're going to sack Mourinho?
Listen, I would love for him to go. I'm not going to lie to you. I'd love for him to be sacked, but I'm a realist. He needs backing and he needs more time. And I don't think the club can afford to sack him, especially after paying Pochettino on his gardening leave. And I'm sure he'll carry some sort of ridiculous clause where we have to pay him.
You've got to give him an open checkbook then, right?
Exactly. So
it's one of the two. You either get rid of him or give him a blank checkbook to go out.
We're stuck with him now. So we're stuck with him. So we have to back him in the window. And we have to back him responsibly as well. We can't just let him have autonomy of signings. We have to give him the money for us to go out and sign players that can genuinely improve our team. Not just second choice options, as in first choice options that can come in and make an immediate impact. We've missed out on Bruno Fernandes and Dybala. How many more players should we miss out on?
Yeah. And I think as well, the one thing that doesn't bode well for Mourinho is you're looking at the way United are playing as well, like the likes of Pogba, Martial, Rashford, who this guy was saying weren't good enough. You know, even the start of this season, he was saying about when he was still a pundit, he was saying about Marcus Rashford, you know, you expect to be seeing more from this guy after 5 seasons at the top level. We've still not seen anything from him. And that's the guy that's now on 20 goals, you know, in all competitions. So, you know, his assessment of players seems to be completely off because when other managers get a hold of them, they're doing a lot more.
Fair play. To be honest, I don't want us to labor on this point anymore. I just wanted to, I think the last point I wanted to talk about before I end the podcast. So we touched on Man City and the decision for them to actually stay in the Champions League next season or get the ban, whatever. So they won 5-0 the other day. And what I wanted to ask was, when the Champions League actually resumes in August, do they actually have a realistic chance of winning it? Because how weird would that be for a team who are banned from playing in the competition the following season to then win the Champions League? What do we think of their chances?
Will Aguero be back?
No, he won't.
Is that confirmed now?
Yeah.
But I think that's a massive blow. Massive, right? I just still think they've got this. They've always got this defeat in them. Like the other day at Southampton, it's just I just see that defensively they're not brilliant, right? They hold a lot of the ball and sort of again there's paper over the cracks around that. But I think one of the biggest mistakes that Pep has made this season is not replacing Vincent Kompany, right? I think both for sort of the presence in the dressing room as well as the man on the pitch. I think that's massive, but as Champions League, can they do it? They've got enough goals in them. That's the thing, right? It's like if you said they'll concede 3, you can't say they won't score 4.
No, I get you. Another point for you, Jack. Though I know I'm just literally just throwing out some random points here that I've got noted. So Willian seems to be in the form of his life, not just in terms of playing style, in terms of his penalties. It seems that as if he's never seen these much penalties in his life before. So of course, it's inflated his stats massively.
He hasn't missed.
Where do you stand on William now? Do you want the club to offer him an olive branch and give him a new deal?
Look, I think in all honesty, I think because if we could give him a 1 year deal, which could what happens? That's what happens at Chelsea, isn't it? We give him a 1 year deal when they get past 30 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If we could give him a 1 year deal, I'd be up for that. But I don't think he's saying he wants longer.
Yeah, I think he wants like
a 3 year deal.
Yeah, he wants 3
years. Yeah,
agent wants 3 years. So in terms of 3 years, I think that's too long. What is he, 32 now? Did you say he's not clinical enough? He's been a great player for us, and I would love him to stay for another year. But if it was going to be 1 year or 3 years, I'd just say like.
Wait. Sorry, can we rewind? Did you say he's been a great player for you,
mate? He has been a great player for us. I know you don't rate him.
How has he been a great player?
Well, he's won titles with us. He's just been a great squad player. He's off the ball. He's been fantastic. He's our captain. He's been a great. He's
your captain. Jesus Christ, your club's in the dirt. Wow.
I don't care if you don't rate him, just because he turned you guys down.
No, he's crap. It's not because he turned us down. He's crap.
Well, as I said, like I'd have him for 1 more year, but that'd be it.
Okay, fair enough.
I reckon if he doesn't sign at Chelsea, he'll end up in North London in some form, right? I can see him turning out in red and white or lily white next season. To be honest, it's 100% on the cards, man.
How would you feel about that, mate? If he came to Arsenal.
Personally, I don't think I'd mind it on like a 2 year deal or something like that. I think he'd be a good squad option, especially with like the youngsters that we've got coming through as well. But I think for the wages that they're talking about, I'd rather spend them elsewhere with our squad. But I generally don't think he's a bad player. I just think he's just a bit inconsistent. But I reckon he'd be good to have like in and around the squad. But I think that's for us. I think for Spurs, they've got a lot better wingers than him, so it wouldn't really make a lot of sense for them.
And also, just a round the table question as well, just back on Chelsea. I know we're focusing on Chelsea, but obviously you lot, Fabrizio and all the other sort of credible sort of journalists are reporting that you lot are preparing the bid for obviously Kai Havertz. So if he comes into your team now, let's assume that he's a guaranteed starter, and then let's assume that Ziyech is a guaranteed starter. Then let's assume that Werner is a guaranteed starter. Where does Tammy Abraham and Pulisic fit in this? Because Pulisic is in the form of he's come back and he's playing with some fire in his belly now, and he looks sort of like the go-to guy for you. So where does Tammy Abraham sort of fit into this? Is he going to be that bum striker that comes off the bench and gets your sweaty goals, or is he going to be the sort of the decent first choice main man playing off Werner?
Well, if we had those three, then and also Hudson-Odoi as well. They'd be.
What about Hudson-Odoi?
The great Hudson, yeah.
They'd just be squad players.
A squad player on 180k a week. Boy.
They've got all money though, innit? You know, their money's long. Chelsea's money's long.
So what about so you're gonna have squad players in Loftus-Cheek and Callum Hudson-Odoi, is that right? The two players that you were screaming were world class and are going to be starting at Chelsea long term.
It's too early to judge, especially Callum.
Oh yeah,
19. You can't write him off yet.
No, I'm not writing him off. I think he's a good prospect. I'm just saying that he's on 180k a week, even though he's done relatively nothing in football. And
that's what he.
And Ruben Loftus-Cheek literally lives off of hype and nothing else.
He lives off of trims and modelling shoots. Yeah, that's what he lives off.
He's a good player. Don't get me wrong, but I just think again, the Chelsea gas makes you think that he's the best thing since Mikael Ballack. So
I've literally said that.
I'm sure you said that before.
You've not once referred to him as the Lewisham Ballack.
He's guilty. He's absolutely guilty. But guys, I know. Thank you for hopping on. I think the last question I wanted to ask, relegation battle as well. I know I ask this every episode, but I just wanted you to sort of give your predictions because we've got Norwich 21 points in 34 games, Villa, 27 points in 34 games. Bournemouth, 28 points in 34. Watford, 31 in 34. West Ham, 31 in 34. Who are going down, or who is going down, should I say?
Who's going first?
Anyone can go.
Right,
Come on,
so,
this is easy.
I mean, if it was me, I'd say that the three teams that are there now, I'd say are going to go.
Yeah.
I want Bournemouth to stay up, but they got a draw today, didn't they, against Spurs? But I can't see it happening. I also desperate for West Ham to go down, but I just can't see it happening. I think the three there now are going to go down.
Same. What about you, Sharon?
Yeah, I think the three that are there. I think if there's anyone else who's going to be in trouble, I think West Ham. Last few games, I think Antonio and Jared Bowen have sort of got them out of it, and I think they might just have enough goals to stay up. But I think Watford will be all right. I think Villa play West Ham on the last day of the season, don't they?
Is that home or away? It doesn't even matter.
It doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure that is the last game of the season. I think that could be massive. But then I don't know where Villa get a point from until it comes to them.
It's at Olympic Stadium, that one.
Is it?
Yeah, I think West Ham will win that. Before you know what, one more question I was gonna ask. I was gonna see the managerial merry-go-round. Who do you think could be a big mover and shaker this summer? Because we've seen Sean Dyche, he's doing a fantastic job at Burnley. They won 1-0 at the London Stadium as well. So he's up there as well. We've seen Chris Wilder pulling up trees with Sheffield United. And then you see Eddie Howe, how things are working out for him at Bournemouth. Do you think that there could be a shift and we could see some managers sort of switch teams this summer?
I don't think Chris Wilder goes anywhere. Sheffield through and through. I mean, why would you, right? Is he going to do much better with them again? No, but he's got a chance of European football, and that will sort of keep him in this situ. Sean Dyche, I mean, what more can you do with that Burnley side? I mean, I think he's had a bit of a kerfuffle with the board as well, and he's not happy with that situation. He's taken them to Europe, right, a couple of seasons ago. It's not going to get any better for them. I don't think they keep hold of Pope, and so I just think they'll have a difficult year coming up. So yeah, Sean Dyche could go, and then it does open up to, as you said, there's a couple of other managers sort of you question around in the Premier League. Sean Dyche, where else would he fit though? That's the other question, right?
That's the thing. Who would want Sean Dyche?
That's the problem. Who want it?
But Everton, they've just got in Ancelotti. That seems that these sort of clubs.
Sean Dyche is not your exciting manager, is he? That's the other thing.
He can switch it up though. Crystal Palace, you got Roy Hodgson, who's got 1 year left in his contract. So
I think Newcastle's the one to watch manager-wise as well, because obviously they've got the takeover coming, and the fans are not happy with Steve Bruce. Like, obviously they've been getting results, but the fans are hating the football that's been played there. So I reckon he's one that will probably be in the hot seat at the start of next season if he's still there.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, guys, thank you for coming on. It's been fantastic. Of course, if you're free and available and you want to join on Sunday, give us a shout, because I'm sure it's going to be an explosive one. That'll be straight after the North London derby as well. So, boy, we're going to have a lot to discuss. But if you're still listening as well, make sure to follow Tapinfootball on all socials, and we will be back on Sunday. See you later.
See you later, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.